Hello everyone, Jeff here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a all blessings tier list for Death Must Die. Now this is of patch 0.0.6.7 or 0.67, something like that, before the second map is released. So this is all subject to change, but this is my feelings on it currently after a little over 150 hours of playtime, closing in on 100 uh, victories on Darkness 30, and also like just doing a bunch of nonsense build and some random challenges. So we're going to be going through each skill. I've got several tiers. Obviously S is the best, then A, B, C, D, the normal stuff. And then I have build around skills and blessings, and like good and great build arounds, and then build around bad blessings. These are things that are only good with some characters. My camera keeps like messing up. I'm sorry. It doesn't want to stay. And I just needed like another category to put stuff. So these are the ones that like generally wouldn't be used, but you might in some situations use them for some type of gain, but on average you probably don't want them. I'm kind of basing this around there's a Magic the Gathering like draft podcast that I used to watch that I can't remember the name of, with LSV and Marshall. I'm sure someone in the comments knows. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it before I go ramble on too long. I have imported all these images that took a little bit. Anyways, we're gonna go with Inferno. This is a legendary skill from Summer. I think it's a pretty easy A. It's not gonna win you a run, but it will save you from certain dangerous points in the run, like the 16-minute mark and the 18-minute mark. That's kind of, and 17 minutes and 19 minutes. Actually, basically everything Necromancer past, this is really good for, and then Slimes prior to that. So, you'll hear me say things like that. And then also, before I continue too, if there's a notable difference, like between a novice and master skill, like if it's novice I would never take it, but if it's master I'll take it a lot, then maybe it goes like I'll mention that for the skill. Anyways, Inferno's legendary, so that's not the case. Let's go to Vehemence next. This is spell power damage up. This is good on everything. One of the better parts of Summer. I took a big crop of this image. I think we just put it in B. It's fine. If you get it master, it literally does double the percent damage as novice, so that's like relevant. Flare I think is going to be our first build around. Cause see, here's the thing. I think Flare, if you're not building luck, right, it has a 45% chance baseline to be good, or to fire. If you pick up luck naturally throughout the map, which you should, you're probably gonna get, I don't know, let's say 80% luck. Which, I mean, that's gonna put it pretty high. Maybe it should go, maybe it's not just a build around. I think it's a build around, like one of the best spells, but also probably just like B or so. It's never gonna be a top DPS thing, but it will help you against archers and whatnot. I'm gonna leave it and build around for as a luck skill. For Breath of Fire, I'm putting this above Vehemence. It might go in like the bottom of A. I'm going to put it here for now. So Breath of Fire serves a lot of purposes. It's really good early on. It clears out a lot of the early enemies. It handles the slimes. It's good against the dragons. It falls off later on in the run, for sure. But typically I'm never unhappy to have it. Gehenna is interesting. So this is another legendary from Summer that makes it so that you do, every time you deal an instance of damage, you get, I think it's like 0.05 XP, which is pretty good with burning. It's also insane if you have the relic that deals damage per second, like 0.5. And then also if you have Taste of Time, which is a time legendary. You kind of always want this. I don't think it's S because it doesn't change anything. I'm just gonna throw an A. Another thing too is when you're considering legendaries, we're gonna think about like what are we taking over it? Like what is it costing us? And I'm probably always taking Gehenna over Master Breath of Fire or Master Vehemence or Master Flare, unless no, I'm always taking it unless it's like late in the run. We may move some of these things down. We're kind of doing this like I haven't thought about this too much, and I've stepped away from the game to like not for 2 days now, just to like not influence my choices. So I'm hoping that we have a better idea. Fire Dragon is just fine. It's like I've come to the conclusion I think all the dragons are in like the top of B tier. If you get summoning damage, they end up being really good. If you don't, or if you get like a lot of spell damage and spell speed, they're really good. But oddly, they're like worse than the parrots and the signs and stuff. So I don't know. For a legendary, I think they fall a little bit behind. I may bring Inferno down actually. I think it's less impact. I don't know. All right, then we have Combust. Combust is weird. The problem with Combust is that it's a really good skill, but it's only good at certain points in times where you already have other skills that you have to like solve the problems that it's trying to solve. Right? Like it's really good AoE, but if you have Breath of Fire, you're already doing really good AoE. And like to get to use it on Dracula, you have to like have it proc on the skeleton that's closest to Dracula, or have enough area of effect for it to affect Dracula. And then like same with Necromancer, but worse. It doesn't work on dragons really well at all. It's good on slimes. I don't know. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like lowering myself on it. I'm gonna leave it in C for now, but we'll adjust as we continue. Meteor Shower is just bad. It's just bad. It doesn't do anything except activate Incinerate. I'm not even gonna talk about it longer. It just activates Incinerate. Incinerate, however, pretty strong. It dealing 1 damage per second isn't that great. It's really good with Gehenna. And when you flood the entire field with fire, it becomes pretty strong. I can't help but notice oh, Vengeful Strike and Trail of Fire are here. That's odd. Whatever. Okay. So, yeah, for Vengeful Strike, we're going to put Rampaging Strike over here. We'll probably do it back to it. Vengeful Strike is pretty easily, I think, the top of B. So here's the thing, right? All the like basic attack and dash things are almost going to be graded separately in their own. Like you have to compare those with their own. So I'm actually going to not do the dashes or the basic attacks right now. I'm going to do this list, and then at the end of this list, we'll come back and we'll do the dashes and basic attacks. That makes way more sense to me. So this is where I have Summer right now. This is subject to change as we continue. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, so let's go on to the God of War. Let's go with Chains of War. I think Chains of War is like a fine C thing. It's better than Combust. I don't think it's as good as any of these other skills. I'm willing to be wrong. Knockbacks like build around good. If you have a lot of like Rampaging Strike and Chains of War and things that do a bunch of knockback, knockback is good, oddly enough. If you don't, it literally does nothing. So it gets a build around. God of War is just, you do 150% more damage and you take 20% more. It's S tier, you always take it, you never not take it. Damage is good. Fatality is, I believe you do how much more? Just a second. I'm gonna look this up so I don't get it wrong. You do, it doesn't even say. Oh, you do 200% more. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly how much it was. You do 200% more damage to enemies that are below half. Again, it's like the same as God of War. I don't know which is better. I probably like Fatality better because you don't take extra damage, but at the end of the day, you don't pass either of these ever. Let's see, we're not using those two. War Pact is in the running for the worst skill in the game. It doesn't do anything. It makes it so you do more damage to enemies with barriers, right? The problem is it doesn't do anything to enemies without barriers. And once an enemy's barrier is gone, they're kind of weak anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, the numbers on it aren't high enough. If you, like, I'll take a look right now and just see, like, War Pact on the high end. You do an extra 90% damage against barriers at master level 5. So do you want to spend 5 levels in a master skill for 90% damage against only enemies that have barriers? It seems insane. It's terrible. I don't know why you'd ever want that. Shurikens goes up here above Chains of War. Maybe probably a B. Might even be above Incineration. I think it is. Might be above Vehemence, but I don't know. Vehemence is really good in everything, so. We have Bloodlust. So here's the thing, right? Is this even a build around? So you get a bunch of attack speed for anything that's ruptured. And everything that's ruptured, everything that triggers rupture is Chains of War, Shurikens, and Blades, which I'm putting Blades up here in the top of A tier for now. It does tons of damage. It's fantastic. It just trusts me. And with more spell projectiles, it goes crazy. I also need to see exactly what hemorrhage, the stats on that are. Oh, right. We'll talk about hemorrhage in a second. So Bloodlust isn't really a build around because if you're using this god, you're already going to be using it. And I think it lets a lot of things be great. So I'm going to put it like here. The only problem with Bloodlust, right, is it only counts actively ruptured enemies. So when you kill them too fast, you no longer get the benefit. Like, it immediately falls off, which is a huge problem. Which is something I like to see changed compared to a different skill on this list that doesn't have that problem. Next up, we have Hemorrhage. Okay, so the skill makes it so each additional tick of Rupture deals more damage than the last. I don't know exactly how this works, to be honest. I just know it makes Rupture deal more damage. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it here. If someone wants to like educate me on this in the comments, feel free to. This is probably the only skill in the game that I just like am completely clueless on. I take it, Rupture ends up doing a lot of damage, but I have no idea like why. Because the tooltip isn't exactly clear to me. I mean, maybe it's like they starting exponential damage, just stack upon each other. I don't know, but I don't feel comfortable like moving it around. Maybe I just like leave it down here. I don't know. Let me know about Hemorrhage. I'm just gonna leave it off for now. Now we move over to Mort. Oh, Mort. This is gonna be ridiculous. All right, Execution is like S tier. You get you get so much XP for literally zero effort. I'll always take it. You'll take it early. I guess, you know what? No, I'm gonna put it in A because if you get it at like 10 minutes, you don't really care for it. But it's also a 1-point wonder, so anything I say 1-point wonder is like it doesn't have levels, so you only need 1 point in it to get just a ton of extra XP. It's a dumb skill. Move on to Soul Stealers. So, arguably the best skill in the game. Definitely putting it at 1 for now. I would rather have it than every other skill on this list, and it's not particularly close. Specifically at Master, but even at Novice, it's extremely powerful. It scales with lifelink and luck, or not lifelink, attack speed and luck very strongly. It is the boss killer, best boss killer, the second best boss killer in the game that's not a summon. It's dumb. Yeah, you don't need to talk much more about Soul Stealers. Ravens. I'm higher on Ravens than I used to be. I thought Ravens were pretty bad before, but I think I'm gonna put Ravens above Fire Dragon, but below Bloodlust. Ravens are an enabler. They don't do a lot by themselves, but you can get them going and they can be crazy with like summon damage and whatnot. But even if they don't, they start enabling Mayhem, and they also enable what I'm going to say is probably the best spell in the game is Malady. It's legendary. I might change my mind on that as we go through these, but so Malady spreads any status effects you have when an enemy dies. This includes Rupture, this includes Curse, this includes Burning, this includes Frozen, all that stuff. And every status effect in between. If you have the gloves that Scotty has that inflict all the things, are the sign you use, you get Malady. Now everything's got every status effect and it spreads forever. It's also increased by area of effect. So if you have Winter Tide from Winter, you can have like 2,000 area spread and it just hits the whole screen. It's a ridiculous skill. It's definitely the best thing in the game, and you're already using at least Cursed if you have Mort, so hard to go wrong there. Sickles is just bad. It's better than Meteor Shower. The problem with Sickles, right, is yes, it inflicts your status effects. So it's pretty good with Scotty. You can use it with Scotty. But it's like a build around bad. So it inflicts your status effects from your basic attack, which can be okay. The problem is Deadly Strike from Mort doesn't apply Curse. It just resolves it. What that means is you have to have a way to apply Curse to make this even like reasonable to think about, or Burning or something like that. Then it scales bad off your attack damage. Your attack damage is already low because the current state of the game attack damage isn't very high to begin with. It just doesn't work. It also doesn't scale with multiple projectiles, which is like, I don't know. I think Sickles needs a rework. That's how I feel about it right now. It's probably like here if it wasn't on build around, but it's like here. Vampirism, cool. Let's put Vampirism down here in D. So that might be a controversial take, but the problem with Vampirism on Darkness 30 is that if you have no armor, Dracula's gonna hit you for a lot of damage every time you get hit. The Ice Archers are going to hit you for a lot of damage. If you're unlucky enough to get hit by an Ice Archer and then get hit by a Spectral Assassin, you're probably gonna die or lose a life if you have revives with no armor. Gaining a bunch of HP only works if you're like a crazy attack speed build. So maybe this is build around great. Because if you have extremely high attack speed and a ton of HP, Vampirism is crazy. If you don't have those two things, it's actually making your character worse. So you guys can put this one where you want. I'm gonna put it in build around great to get a little less hate for it, but I really don't care either way. I think generally you don't want it, which is why I think it's a build around type spell. Next up we have Serendipity. Serendipity is interesting, right? Because it gives you luck, and luck implies build around. But if you look at all the skills that trigger luck, every god has quite a few. Or not every god, but like almost every god has skills that activate off of luck. Including, you know, this skill that I have in the second spot, Soul Stealers. Because of that, Serendipity making Soul Stealers better. It also affects, you know, items that you have, item proc chances. I think it goes like... It's definitely better than Vehemence, right? I think it's the best of the stat ups, easily. So there's that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Next up we have necromancy. The boss killer. It's just a boss killer. It doesn't do anything else. It's actually not even that bad. I put it top of C. Maybe, you know, the more I'm looking at this, I think this comes down here. Necromancy goes up here to B, to the bottom of B. The problem with necromancy is it does nothing by itself. But once you get going, and if you have enough like spell duration, you get like a master necromancy and they're lasting like 3 minutes, they will destroy bosses for you, which sometimes might save a run. Yeah, I think necromancy's severely underrated the more I play with it. Mayhem's up here in S tier. It requires a little bit of work, is the only reason I'm going to leave it at the bottom of S tier, and I think it's going to stay at the bottom of S tier. But I will regularly take this at novice, mostly because I think it's unfair taking it master. But if you take it at novice, you'll likely end a run with 100% bonus damage for one level, for one like skill point. If you pick it with master, you might end with 1,000 damage, maybe 1,000% damage for it. And then once you're doing that, all your ravens and your skeletons are going crazy, not to mention all your other stuff. So like, I don't know. And you don't even have to really work for it, right? Mayhem only requires that you're using either ravens or soul stealers. That's it. And you're good. And if you're playing Mort, you should be using one or two, probably both of them. Anyways, that's it for Mort for now. We'll come back and do the attacks and dashes later. All right, so Vigor, we're on to the Fates. By the way, I'm doing that this is just in the way they popped up on the wiki. There's no actual method to this madness. I think Vigor is the best passive skill of the Fates, except for maybe Splinter. I have it slightly over Serendipity, probably. That makes sense to me. I did a bad job copying Vehemence. Look at this. There's like a line at the top. Embarrassing. Yeah, Vigor's just really good. More HP is good. It increases the threshold for lifelink. Like, I don't know what to say. Evasion is also good. I don't love evasion in this game, even if it is very strong. The problem is because I like consistency of like just armor and knowing I'm not going to get hit and actually like manual dodging. However, if you get like a full evasion build going, sometimes you just get lucky and just never get hit. So I mean, it depends how you feel about it. I'm going to put it at like the top of C. I don't feel like too strongly about that either way. Might is the aerial effect, which I think just comes down to like here, realistically. It's definitely better than Warpact. The problem with that is like you can use it on Kront for decent effect, and you can use it on Maris for extra AoE on her fireballs, but it's just your basic attack. It doesn't really do anything. It's kind of disappointing. Maris Splinter, which only affects Maris, however, is probably like up here somewhere, I imagine. In this range. Feels about right. There is a big difference, I will say, on this one between novice and master. If you have novice, it's not amazing. If you have master, it kind of goes insane. You get more projectiles and less area penalty from taking it. So I do recommend on this one trying not to take it at novice. Next up we have Crit Strike. It's better than Might. It's probably like over here. It does a lot of damage, but again, basic attack builds in the current version of the game are a lot of work to actually get going. If you're using Mayhem to get them going, you're already winning, so that doesn't count, in my opinion. But if you're going like all in with Sign of the Meteor, Kront giving up your armor. This can end up doing a lot of damage. First strike is bananas. It's just 400% damage to the uninjured enemies. So now I will say this has a lot of anti synergies. With a lot of skills in this list, so it's very important to know like what you're doing. But if you say have like first strike and inferno, all of a sudden your inferno is clearing the screen of everything. That's not one of the three. But actually, I don't know if I've ever had first strike and inferno before the dragons, but it might. I don't think it one shots them, but it would definitely take them under half. Current version of Curiosity doesn't seem to work right. I have tried taking this at master levels and just gotten no extra stuff. We've tried it. I say we've as like a collective because we've tried it getting extra pickups with Nixie with like 1,000% from the rune she has or the sign, in addition to a relic or a unique that gives you 600%. You just got none. So I think it's broken the more you get. Stay hydrated, friends. I think it's just terrible. It might even be worse than Warpack because I don't think it does anything right now. I'm going to assume it's broken and just leave it down here. Fleet foot is an extra dash. How good is an extra dash? It's in this area. I think I'd rather have blades than it. Would I rather have it than Inferno? Probably not. I'm moving things around here as I think about it. All right, next up we have Fury. We have attack speed. This one is good. This one's good because it helps trigger all the other things. I think this one's actually like right here. Potentially higher. I think these four are all about the same. I think if you could lump these four into one block, I would put them all about even. Serendipity might be on the low end because it's more build around. Fury's more generally good. Splinter's just for Maris, so maybe it goes down here a little bit. Maybe it's like this. Fury goes kind of crazy. Not for increasing your attack damage, but for increasing your attack speed to proc strong spells like Soul Stealers. With too many basic attacks. It's fine. We'll make it work. We're gonna come down here and I'm just gonna drop these to the bottom. Holy moly. All right, turning straight. Okay, on to winter stuff. So I need to make sure I have this right. Winter has several legendaries that all have similar-ish names, and I kind of get them mixed up. I believe Shatter is the one that they break at 20%. Yeah. So enemies just insta-die on 20%. I think that's really good. Enemies just have 20% less life. You always take it. These legendaries for winter are going to be pretty easy. Frost Dragon's better than Fire Dragon. Put it better than Ravens. I'd probably put this like this. I think. Probably like this. Yeah, that looks better. All right, Chill to the Bone, I believe, is the one that causes enemies to take less stacks to be frozen. Correct. So this makes it so they need 5 stacks instead of 7. It's really good. It's not even really a build around because you're already freezing everything. I think I like it a little less than Frost Dragon. I think I like it a little less than this. I think I like it more than the rest of these, though. Yeah, I'm comfy with that. Wintertide. Wintertide's really good. One thing I want to say about Wintertide is the difference between novice and master. Okay, that's what I thought. So it increases the area of spells, which is very powerful. However, at novice, it increases it by 65%. At master level 5, it increases it by 130%. That's a large difference. I mean, it's double, right? But there's a big difference between 65% and 130%. It's definitely like, I think it's like right here. So it makes a lot of skills that aren't normally as great really, really good. It makes Breath of Fire insane. It affects Soul Stealers. It affects Blades. It affects Shurikens. It affects Incineration. It affects Chains of War. It affects Meteor Shower. Not that that's great. It affects Flare, which is hilarious. I think it also affects Sickles, but it's like you shouldn't take Sickles anyway, so whatever. It's pretty good. It also affects the Breath of Fire and the Dragon Breath, so there's that too. Frozen Treasure is, I don't know. This is just for finding loot. It doesn't do anything on combat, so I'm just gonna put it down here. Frozen Ring. This might be the biggest difference between Master and Novice. So at Novice, I didn't even look this one up. At Novice, this takes 5 attacks to trigger, right? No. At Novice, it takes 9 attacks. Master, it takes 5 attacks. So basically double the number of attacks to trigger, but is an AoE freeze that synergizes Wintertide. It's maybe the best crowd control in the game that's not legendary. I feel like Master Ring of Frost is like here, right? But I feel like Novice Ring of Frost is like here. So maybe I'm going to split the difference and put it here. I'm okay with that. All right, then we have Blight. Blight does decent damage. It's decent CC. One of the problems with it, it works with multiple projectiles. It works with Wintertide. One of the problems with Blight is that it kills enemies pretty far away from you. And that is a problem. I would say, personally, I like Blight at the bottom of B. Because it is good. But at the same time, it's very bad versus bosses. Like, very bad. All right, World Freeze. World Freeze constantly applies frost debuff to enemies. It's very, very strong. It's not as strong as some of these other things. I actually think the Shatter should go down here, closer to Inferno. I think World Freeze probably goes up here in the S tier. Mostly because of the synergies with everything else. It's always good. And I don't think I'd ever pass it. Icebound is extra damage to frozen enemies. Gets up to be quite a lot, but it's extra attack damage only. If I am, I want to make sure I'm correct on this list here. Icebound, mobilize enemies take, no. They just take more damage. Okay, I misread that. I thought it was extra attack. Maybe that's just Thaw. I think I'm getting those two confused. Anyways. Icebound, frozen enemies, immobilized enemies take more damage. More or less the same. Again, this is one of those things where it's like Novice versus Master, right? Because it's 60% on Novice, 120% on Master. 120% extra damage is a big deal. 60% is nice, but What I will give to Icebound is that it only has 1 level. So you don't have to spend a lot on it. So I think it goes in with like this stuff. But maybe it's actually just a build around great to good. Because you have to be freezing things. And there's a world where you could be playing Winter and not freezing that much. Like, if you take Winter and you get like focus on Wintertide and maybe like just Blight, you might not have that much frost effects. I don't know. Feels right. Path of Frost is weird. I used to think it was like up here, like into A or B, but now I'm like down here with it. It's fine. It's good. It's not, is it even good? I don't like it as much as any of these things. I think Combust, Chains, Incinerate. I'd rather have all of those. Yeah. Yeah. I'm top of D right now. Sorry, Path of Frost. All right, let's go Haste. And by Haste, I mean Lightning. Lightning only has a few skills because it doesn't have legendaries yet, but Haste, as far as passive, this is going to go in with the other passives, and I think it's going to go right here. I think movement speed is extremely important. I think it's one of the best things you can do. It means more shrines. It triggers some abilities. Why is Thaw on the outside here? We missed that one. Okay, real quick. Thaw is like down here with Combust. It increases your attack damage for each frozen enemy, which is okay for hordes, but doesn't do anything for bosses, so I don't think it's that great. And then Hoarfrost. How did these things get all mixed up? Anyways. All right, Hoarfrost increases your damage by 100% for what I believe is each different status effect. I just want to make sure these are all correct. Yeah, they take 100% more damage for each different status effect on them. Hoarfrost is here. This ability is stupid. If you get Hoarfrost and Malady, you instantly win. Because your Soul Stealer is doing double damage. You're spreading anything. So that means Cursed, Rupture, Frozen, Burning. All of these things are applying 100% damage debuff. It's so stupid. Okay. Winter's done now. I'm sorry about that. Lightning Orbs. Lightning Orbs are better than you might think. They're better than Blight. I think they're worse than Necromancy. I think that's pretty easy. We're not doing Wrathful Strike yet. We're not doing Ball Lightning yet. Lightning Bolt. Oh, I love Lightning Bolt. It's one of my favorites. Here's the thing with Lightning Bolt, right? It's really bad against hordes. It's really good with multiple projectiles. It's really good with movement speed. Really good with movement speed. Some of my favorite builds involve dashing around a lot. So I think I'm gonna be honest. I'm biased. This goes here. But I'm biased. No, realistically, you can't put it above the dragons, but I put it right here. I like how the dragons are just like the gatekeepers of A tier right now. Chain Lightning goes crazy. It's like up here. Scales with attack speed and luck so strong. But worse than Breath of Fire against hordes. I think Breath of Fire is actually better than Chain Lightning, for the record. Brevity, another passive. What? Oh, don't right click. Brevity. I don't know. I think Brevity's in here with the passives. Spell speed. So what is spell speed actually doing? I think it's worse than Vehemence. It's spell speeding with spell cooldowns. And this is another one that gets better with Master versus Novice, like the same as all of these, kind of. I like how they're all just in here at B. I think that's appropriate. That's it for Lightning. Wow, that's disappointing. He needs some legendaries for sure. All right, let's do Justice. Let's start with Protection, the Ring of Protection. Armor's pretty good. I like Protection over Brevity, believe it or not. I think the more I've played with it, the more it turns out that getting an extra 30% damage reduction from the skill alone can save you. I think a lot of these are going to be in a similar area too, because I'm looking at Inner Peace and I'm thinking, I kind of like that. About the same as Ravens. It's pretty strong HP regen. Sometimes you need HP regen. I kind of like it up here. Pandemonium, it upgrades all your skills. It's like, it's here. I have it here pretty easily. Another legendary skill near the top. No surprise there. That's probably my top 3. Purification. Another 1-point wonder skill. Just increases the healing you do. Increases your survivability a ton. Works well with inner peace. I think it's probably up like here. Oh, Day of Judgment. My new favorite spell to hate on. Is it worse than War Pact? Yeah, I think it's worse than War Pact. I think actually taking Day of Judgment makes your character worse. So here's the reason why. You might think I'm crazy until like you either learn this or, you know, think about it for a few minutes. Day of Judgment doesn't destroy the enemies. It just removes them from the game. It also removes all the XP you would have gotten from them from the game. So it's basically like anti-XP gain. And very rarely are you in situations where, you know, Day of Judgment would have helped you. Like, think about it. You're taking Day of Judgment over a master skill. You could have had 50% heals. You could have had, like, a huge amount of armor. You could have had a good bit of healing passively. Master Consecration doesn't really matter. Master Reprisal is pretty great. Same with Divine Shield. Like, you could have done these things, but it's like it's just bad. It makes your character worse. It's no good. Consecration. So prior to my tank Averon build that I hope you all have seen, because that's a wonderful, fun time, I probably would have put it like down here at C or something. It's a really good 1-point thing, right? Like, it's really good. However, if you are to build a consecration tank character, it's actually right here. It's at like the top of builder rounds, where you could put all your points into it and it just does a ton of damage. I do think, like, on average, the average build is gonna probably want it somewhere around here, but you only put 1 point into it and then you banish it afterwards. So I will leave it here, but that is what I would say. And these are going from left to right. Skipping basic attacks. We go to Reprisal next. Reprisal is just fantastic. Even at low tier, if you can get it up to 20%, you're really winning the game. If you can't, and it's at like 10, you're still doing pretty good. Probably have it like it's got to be near inner peace here. It's above inner peace. I think I'm happy with that. And then Divine Shield, which used to be one of my favorites, has actually moved down quite a lot. I think it's at like the bottom of B. It's good, but it's only really good versus like Dracula. Because the problem is you're either doing so much damage you're not getting hit at all, or you're not getting hit at all, or you're getting hit a decent amount and you're just healing through it. Because right, you have to remember, if you're taking Divine Shield, that means Justice is part of your kit. And if Justice is part of your kit, you have Purification and Inner Peace. So, like, you don't necessarily need this. It is good versus Dracula, but you don't need a bunch of points in it versus Dracula. You need, like, 1 point. So it's like, it's fine. I'd rather have better protection. I don't know. It's, like, down here. It's still good. But I'm much lower on it than I used to be. Oh, okay. Here we are. On to time. I think time is the last one before we get to regular attacks. So we start with the Taste of Time. I don't know why this is first, but it is. And we're just going to put it right here. Right in here. So it deals 6% of enemy health per second constantly once you pick it up. It is a win condition. If you have this, if this is your first pick, I stop worrying about damage completely and take CC, like take like a Winter and Justice, and you won't die, and all the enemies die because it affects bosses too. It's absurd. Also, if you get it plus Gehenna, you can kind of go crazy. But that, that has to happen. Yeah, Taste of Time, obviously. Like, this is not surprising. Force. Force of Deadlock. Force is strong. The Force is strong with this one. I think it's over these. So Force doubles as a bonus to pickup range as well as damage. It's good in the slime waves and the 19-minute wave, while also helping you pick up more XP. So it's also XP gain. I just like it. I still think it's under Ravens, but it's quite good. Deadlock is fine, but it's kind of win more. I feel like I don't like it as much as Evasion. I like it more than Critical Strike. Alteration Ritual is broken in half. It's like really not particularly fair spell. Now, if you do have Alteration Ritual mastered out, if you have 5 levels on Alteration Master, then yes, you take Deadlock and it goes down here, right? You up its timer to just like 5 minutes. You level up. If you have enough XP gain, you have like 5 extra abilities stacked at all times. You have a chance to hit Pandemonium, which is just one of the most disgusting things you can do if you actually luck into it. And you can do it multiple times per run. But that's the reason Alteration Ritual's the bottom of S. Time Field. Time Field is interesting. I think Time Field is actually better than Divine Shield at doing what Divine Shield does, and that is like protecting yourself. But at the same time, I don't like spinning points on it. It does synergize very well with Wintertide, though. You can have like a Time Field that covers up half the screen, and you're in a good spot, especially versus Dracula. Wisdom is just more XP. It depends how much you have. It's fine. It's gonna go with the passives. Somewhere. Probably like in here somewhere. This whole section is very close, I would say. Just depends what you're needing at the moment. Summoner is built around stupid. It's built around stupid is what I'd call it. If you have, first of all, you can't even get Summoner unless you have an active summon skill, which you can trigger with Alteration Rituals, so be careful about that. Sometimes you might get it with this and you don't actually want it. But if you have Frost Dragon, Fire Dragon, Ravens, or Necromancy, Summoner goes crazy. It also affects your other like summons from items that you can bring in. So, it's really good. I realize I just made the build around bad tier for Sickles, but that's okay. Oh, Gem High. Here? Yeah. Yeah, see, so Gem High works the way that Thaw wishes it worked. It works the way that Bloodlust wishes it worked. It works the way that, I think there's one other skill, wishes it were Icebound. And that is that once you trigger it, you get its buff for like a second and it stacks. So it doesn't immediately go away the second you pick up a gem. I mean, that wouldn't make sense, but the way it works is extremely powerful. Not to mention, like, the attack speed and spell speed is only half the thing. You also get insane movement speed, which allows you to get around the map faster, which allows you to pick up more shrines, which makes you stronger. This isn't counting the fact of, like, taking Maris and the Infinite Pole Shrine, which is broken. And then, finally, of the regular spells, we have Temporal Lord. This moves time back a minute when you die. The problem is this triggers, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, after, at least this is the last time I used it, after your natural revives, which unfortunately makes it not work exactly the way you want it to. Like, the best use for this is to get extremely overpowered by getting the 19-minute wave again and triggering mayhem. But if we're being honest, it's basically just an extra revive, which I think is slightly worse than Divine Shield. Again, Frost Ring is, this is like splitting difference between Novice and Master, because I don't think Master Frost Ring is here. I think Master Frost Ring is probably like up here. But again, Novice Frost Ring is so bad, so there's that. All right, so this is, let me zoom out a little bit. This is my tier list of all the non-attack and dash blessings in the game currently. I think I like where everything is. We're just gonna go Malady, Hoarfrost. Yep. I was gonna read them all out, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just seeing if there's anything else we want to change or that doesn't look right. If you guys see anything that you don't like, let me know in the comments. I'm not saying I will agree with you, but I'm just curious what you all think. This is just based on my experience here. I think Chains of War could probably be higher. That's what I'm seeing. I think this can probably go like up here. Like that. Yeah. That was kind of, I think Brevity actually might go lower too. Might be Sleeping on Illusion. I'm willing to believe that. Might be have Thaw and Combust a little too low. I think there's just a lot of work to get done. Yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed that, and give me 1 second and we will jump over to the other spells. Okay, time for basic attacks and dashes, and we're just gonna use S to A to B, C, D, you know, the usual tier list. This one's gonna be a lot quicker and it's pretty easy here. So let's just start with Rampaging Strike. I think this is right in the middle. I'm basing this on average for all the characters. I know Maris is slightly different because of range stuff, but I think this is right in the middle. I think Vengeful Strike is a little bit better. I think Trail of Fire is in this area. In the B area, it's okay. It does damage, but we may move it down. I think Charge is A. I did a charge build recently. It's very powerful. You can push back bosses if you have enough knockback. It's pretty good. Deadly Strike is like up here in S for resolving. It's like a synergy one. If you have a lot of curse effects, if you have Ravens plus Soul Stealers, it's an S. If you aren't using either of those, it's like, it does nothing, right? But normally it's an S. Lifelink is also an S. It's degenerate. Chilling Strike. I like it better than Vengeful Strike. Does less damage, but good CC. Dive, I'm a little disappointed in. It does low damage, and the CC is not as good as it should be. Wrathful Strike is like Deadly Strike, and it's a combo enabler for things like Chain Lightning and Soul Stealers. It's almost a build around. Ball Lightning's like right here with Charge. Similar purposes. You get to move further with this. It gets you out of danger much better. Ooh, okay, so these Merciful Strike is basically only if you're building a tank build. Otherwise, you have no reason to ever use it. And Celestial Wings is like fine. Not like getting some extra movement speed while you're dashing, or like after your dash is okay, but it's not that good. Warp Strike is an enabler. It goes up here. I think it's like probably number one. Mind you, this list is like basic attacks compared, and then, you know, dashes. So yeah, Lifelink's probably the best spell out of all this list, but this is just like comparing things to each other. I think Vortex is actually better than Ball Lightning. So if I move this stuff over so make it easier to have the dashes on all the right side. Oh, it's already done like this. This is how I would have it. Feels like we're missing stuff, but we're not, just because we went through all that other. So warp strike, deadly strike, wrathful strike at the top, chilling strike, vengeful strike, rampaging strike, event. Yeah, I'm pretty content with that. Vengeful strike triggers fire each time you do it, so it's pretty useful. Which is an extra 30 damage to every attack. Lifelink's just the best like dash in the game. It's so good. Charge Vortex. I think Vortex is secretly very strong against dragons. It stops their charge. Sometimes if you're dodging against a dragon, if you don't dodge at the right angle, they can clip you. If you have Vortex when you're dodging, you're dashing, the Vortex will catch them anyway, as long as you don't dash like into them. And that will save you from getting that like incidental clipping, which is pretty strong. I don't know why water made me burp there. Ball lightning is just good at getting out of dodge. And triggering lightning abilities, moving around the map fast to pick up stuff. Everything else is kind of self-explanatory, but yeah, that's where I have the list. So that's my entire blessings list as of this point in the game. I hope you guys liked the video. Let me know your feedback. Let me know what you think of the list. Let me know what you guys would change. I'm curious just to know your guys' thoughts to see if maybe I'm overlooking certain abilities. But I'm pretty set with my in my ways here. Anyways, hope you guys liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. And I will see you later or tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching. Jeff out. Bye.